Would you like to learn to identify and attract more wild British garden birds to your garden? I can't even hear you. I said, would you like to learn to identify and attract more wild British garden birds to your garden? Well, that's much better, isn't it? Well, then, let's read along to discover 23 garden species that might already call your garden home. We'll also learn some interesting facts about them and give you tips on their favourite foods. Number 1. The blackbird. The common blackbird is a medium-sized garden bird in the UK. Males are black with a contrasting orange bill, while females are brown with a brown bill. Blackbirds visit our gardens throughout the year, and their sweet song rings out at the break of dawn. Common blackbirds feed predominantly on insects, but also eat berries when available. They find gardens throughout the UK to be rich foraging grounds, although providing a water feature, bird bath and their favourite foods, like fat balls and mealworms, will make your outdoor environment even more attractive. Next, the blue tit. The Eurasian blue tit is a colourful little bird with a bright blue, white, yellow, black and green shades. This widespread species is a common visitor to gardens where they actively forage for caterpillars and small insects. These lovely birds will visit bird feeders where seeds, nuts and fat balls are provided. You can even encourage blue tits to nest in your garden by setting out a nest box. Next, great tit. The great tit is yet another bold and colourful garden species familiar to many British and Irish birdwatchers. These non-migratory birds regularly visit bird feeders where they can be rambunctious and even downright aggressive towards other garden birds. The great tit is similar in appearance to the blue tit, but has a black rather than blue cap and throat. This species is also significantly larger than its blue cousin, although the two often forage together. They can spot them throughout the UK, apart from the north of Scotland and the rest of Europe. Next, European goldfinch. The European goldfinch is a welcome sight wherever they turn up. These bold and bright little seed eaters are easily identified by their scarlet, white and black faces and contrasting yellow and black wing feathers. They are specially adapted to feed on fine seeds like thistle, and thankfully they will happily visit your garden even if you hang up a bird seed feeder. They are most common in south of the UK, and although some are present throughout the year, you are most likely to spot them in summer. Next, European robin. The robin is a beloved UK garden bird that needs a little introduction. These bed-breasted songsters are common in gardens throughout the country. Robins are generally unobtrusive, although they can become very confiding. Despite their sweet looks and voices, robins are highly territorial, which explains why you're most likely to spot just one or two in your garden. The same mated pair will just visit your garden throughout the year to forage for insects and other invertebrates. Next, the common starling. The starling is a common and conspicuous garden bird across the UK. These intelligent and very wary birds are most beautiful in the breeding season, when their plumage takes on an oily sheen and reflects green and purple shades in good light. Starlings feed primarily on insects, although they will readily visit bird feeding tables, especially where suet, peanuts, and sunflower seeds are on offer. Sadly, starlings are in decline in rural areas of the UK, although they remain a familiar sight in urban and suburban parks and gardens. Next, the Eurasian wren. The wren is a tiny, nondescript insect-eating bird that is very common in gardens throughout the UK. In fact, wrens are the UK's most common bird species, with an estimated population of 8 million pairs. Wow! Wrens are active little birds that forage for insects in the undergrowth. They will occasionally forage for scraps under bird tables. However, particularly in the winter when insects are in short supply, at this time they may become bolder and easier to observe. Next, a long-tailed tit. The long-tailed tit is a unique little garden bird with some rather distinctive features. Its tail is about the same length as its body, which is small and round. These birds have large heads without discernible necks and tiny black bills. Long-tailed tits visit a variety of habitats, and groups of up to 20 individuals may be a common sight in gardens during the winter. These fascinating little birds feed predominantly on insects, although they are very partial to suet as bird feeders. Next, the greenfinch. The greenfinch is a regular garden visitor and a welcome sight at the bird table. Males are greenish with bright yellow wing patches, where females are less colourful. Greenfinches are commonly associated with humans and are quick to take advantage of a free meal. Their decline resulted from a spread of a parasite-caused disease, which is why it is so important to keep bird baths and feeders clean. Today, greenfinches' numbers are happily increasing, and you could spot them feeding on sunflower seeds or peanuts in your own garden throughout the year. Next, the chaffinch. Chaffinches are one of the most abundant birds across the UK and Ireland, so it should come as no surprise that they are extremely common visitors to gardens. They can be spotted year-round when they tend to prefer feeding under bird tables instead of on them, for seeds that they have made their way onto the floor. Male chaffinches are mainly orange with a mixture of browns, greys, blacks, whites and yellow, whereas females are less colourful and are mostly brown with black and white detailing, particularly on the wings. You'll often hear chaffinches before you see them, as they are vocal species with a distinctive yet wonderful array of loud calls. Next, house sparrow. The house sparrow is an abundant and familiar garden bird species in the UK whose call is a familiar sound to people all over the country, whether they realise it or not. These small seed-eating birds nest in cavities in our homes and buildings and forage in our gardens and parks and streets. They tend to forage in pairs, and males have distinctive black throats and facial markings, coupled with brown, rich backs, greyish underparts and white markings on their wings and necks. Females are drab in comparison and relatively nondescript little birds. Look out for these birds throughout the year. Next, dunnock. The dunnock is a common but inconspicuous garden bird in the UK. These birds occur throughout the UK, with the exception of the Scottish Highlands. Look out for these well-camouflaged birds as they forage on the ground near the protection of shrubs and other vegetation. Both pairs are marked in grey and brown, with a sharp black bill and pinkish legs. Don't expect too many dunnocks at your feeding station in the summer, unless you provide mealworms. However, these birds will feed on insects in the winter when insect numbers decrease. Next, the wood pigeon. The wood pigeon is a large and common garden bird that forages and breeds in British and Irish gardens throughout the year. These pastel grey and pink pigeons are attractive birds, and their prominent white neck bars them distinguished from other doves and pigeons in the UK. The wood pigeon is a ground-feeding bird, typically seen searching the lawn for seeds and other plant material. However, they will readily feed on grain and birdseed mixes when available. Next, the carrion crow. The carrion crow is a bold and intelligent bird from the corvid family and an exciting bird to have around the garden. The carrion crow is often wary of humans, although many have learned to take advantage of garden feeding stations, as they may become regular visitors if left to forage in peace. Despite their sinister name, these large all-black birds have a varied diet and will feed on anything from grain to insects and fruit. Next, the magpie. The magpie is another clever bird that will take visitors the UK gardens to forage. These pied birds are instantly recognisable by their long iridescent tails and contrasting black and white plumage. The magpie is common in the southern half of the UK but scarce in other parts of Scotland. Despite their striking looks and fascinating behaviours, magpies are not always welcome garden visitors because they can be aggressive towards other bird species. If you do want to attract these birds, provide them their meaty meals like suet, dog food, or mealworms. Next, Yellowhammer. The yellowhammer is a brightly coloured bunting species that will visit garden bird feeding tables, particularly in winter when seeds become a more important part of their diet. Both pairs are boldly marked in yellow plumage with black streaked rufous upper parts. However, males are certainly the most colourful. The yellowhammer has a wide distribution in the UK, particularly in the southeast. However, they are absent from many higher lying areas. Unfortunately, this species has suffered significant declines in the UK and it's on the UK's conservation red list. Next, the Eurasian jay. The jay is a beautiful woodland bird from the same family as magpies, crows and ravens. These colourful birds are instantly recognisable by their pinkish plumage, bald black moustache stripe and the bright blue barred feathers on their wings. Eurasian jays will visit mature gardens, especially when they can find their favourite food, acorns. Birdwatchers can also attract these shy birds by providing suet, peanuts and sunflower seeds. Next, great spotted woodpecker. The great spotted woodpecker is the most common woodland bird from Wales, England and southern Scotland. These black, white and red birds often visit mature gardens when they will readily feed from bird feeders, offering fat balls, peanuts and sunflower seeds. The great spotted woodpecker is a truly eye-catching bird as it scrambles along the trunks of trees and moves between perches with its characteristic dipping flight. One of 3 species in the UK, this species is larger and more common than the lesser spotted. Next, the Eurasian collared dove. The collared dove is a relatively new bird to the UK, first colonising the country in the mid-1900s. Today, these common birds are a familiar species in gardens almost everywhere except the Highlands of Scotland. These soft grey-coloured doves do have a distinctive black band that surrounds the back half of their neck. Collared doves will forage for seeds and buds together with other ground feeders like wood pigeons, and they often build their flimsy twig nests in gardens and urban areas. Next, the Eurasian green woodpecker. The green woodpecker is a large species with an unmistakable green back and red cap. These impressive birds are specialist ant-eaters, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy sightings in your very own garden. They occur across most of Wales and England, but are absent from Northern Ireland and most of Scotland. They are ground feeders and often search for ants on lawns. A healthy lawn is an established ground garden could certainly attract one of these shy birds. Next, the jackdaw is a small crow species with piercing blue eyes and a black face. The rest of their body is a dark grey shade. These adaptable birds are common and found in many habitats, including gardens across the UK. The jackdaw will readily visit bird tables and are small enough to feed from hanging bird feeders. These fascinating birds also nest in buildings and trees in established gardens. Jackdaws are resident in the UK and you can enjoy sightings throughout the year. Next, goldcrest. The goldcrest is the UK's smallest bird and a lovely species to observe in your own garden. These tiny birds just weigh 6 grams or less and are named for their black and yellow crowns. The goldcrest is a short-lived species, common all over the UK. Attract these birds in the winter by providing small morsels of mild cheese, suet or mealworms. And finally, the bullfinch. The bullfinch is the robust finch species with a heavy bill for crushing seeds. Males have fiery red bellies and grey backs, while females have brown, blacks and greyish underparts. Unfortunately, the bullfinch is on the UK's amber list due to declines in the late 1900s. These beautiful finches are not the commonest of garden birds, but they can be attracted by providing a clean source of water and a quality bird seed mix. That was a long one, but see you soon. Bye.